Hello everyone and welcome to our weekly wrap-up of news stories that made the headlines. I'm Nicole Cordovez and this is the MB Rundown. The House Committee on Justice on Thursday found sufficient grounds to pursue the impeachment of Supreme Court Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno. Next in the House panel's agenda will be to determine probable cause in filing the impeachment case that contains 27 allegations supporting the grounds of culpable violation of the Constitution, betrayal of public trust, graft, and other high crimes that complainant Lorenzo Gadon wrote in his complaint. Voting 25 for and 2 against, the committee approved a motion presented by Justice Panel Chairman and Misamis Occidental Representative Henry Huaminal, declaring that there is sufficient ground for the congressman to determine Sereno's impeachment. In the letter sent to the Justice Panel, Sereno, through her lawyers, urged the lower house to grant her and her lawyers the right to cross-examine witnesses to be presented by Gadon. This, however, was considered as mere scrap of papers by the House panel. Meanwhile, the Malacañang Palace released a statement saying that President Duterte has no hidden agenda to consolidate power or cling on to his post following his recent attacks aimed at Chief Justice Lourdes Sereno and Ombudsman Conchita Carpio Morales. Presidential spokesman Ernesto Abella said that the president's offer to resign was also a clear statement that he has no intention of clinging on to power. He said this contradicted the allegations of some opposition senators that he wants to consolidate power or intimidate independent institutions. President Rodrigo Roa Duterte is willing to make public his bank records at the right time, Malacañang said on Tuesday amid an investigation initiated by the Office of the Ombudsman into his alleged hidden wealth. Presidential spokesman Ernesto Abella explained that the president is not necessarily avoiding the investigation into his wealth, but is merely trying to rid the bureaucracy of corruption first. In his visit to Marawi City last Monday, the president said he was ready to release his bank records if Chief Justice Lourdes Sereno and Ombudsman Conchita Carpio Morales will do the same. Duterte reiterated his challenge to Sereno and Morales to resign with him and show their financial documents to Congress for scrutiny. Duterte also said he would not obey the ombudsman for not only alleging corruption but for also holding fabricated and illegally acquired bank information for his inquiry. He turned the tables on the ombudsman by disclosing plans to create a commission to probe the ombudsman for alleged selective justice and other corrupt practices in handling cases. Abella, however, explained the president's refusal to place himself under the jurisdiction of the ombudsman was mainly due to his suspicion about the integrity of certain persons. Presidential Communications Operations Office Assistant Secretary Margot Moca Uzon appeared on Senate last Wednesday to answer inquiries on the proliferation of fake news and misinformation. The performer-turned-government official faced the grilling of senators over her viral Facebook posts, which were deemed as vocal in support for the administration and critical against the opposition. During the inquiry, Senator Nancy Binay said it is high time for Uzon to decide if she really wanted to be an assistant secretary or to be a blogger. Binay had earlier called out Uzon for spreading fake news, most especially during the deliberation of the PCOO's 2018 budget last month. Uzon, a known Duterte supporter, had been under fire for her social media posts in her Mocha Uzon blog. In one instance, she was caught sharing last May a photo of kneeling Honduras police while asking prayers for soldiers in Marawi City. She later claimed the picture as a symbolism. She also shared a fake news article published in the state-owned Philippine News Agency about the 95-member state of the UN dismissing the existence of the EJK in the country. And just recently, she was charged by Senator Antonio Trillanes IV before the Ombudsman for sharing photos of the documents allegedly containing details of his offshore bank accounts. Uzon, in defense, said she was only exercising her right to free speech as a blogger. Uzon added she was not aware that the freedom to expression should be compromised when she became a public official. But Binay said that Uzon cannot anymore separate her being a blogger to being a public official. Binay reminded Uson that as public officials, they are bound by Republic Act 6173 or the Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards for Public Officials and Employees. The said Republic Act sets the standards that should be observed by elected and appointed government officials. The Department of Justice on Wednesday began its preliminary investigation on the death of hazing victim Horacio Tomas Acho Castillo III. During the hearing, Assistant State Prosecutor Susan Villanueva, who chairs the panel of prosecutors handling the case, gave the complainants more time to submit supplemental evidence. Villanueva said the respondents were given until October 24 to file their counter-affidavits in response to the accusations against them. Legal counsel of the Castillo family, lawyer Lorna Capunan, told the panel that they are considering to include in the complaint University of Santo Tomas Civil Law Dean Nilo Divina and other school officials. Manila Police District's counsel, lawyer Rico Betic, said they will also submit the sworn affidavits of witnesses. He also added that they have additional evidence which include phone activities and communications provided by telecommunications companies. Betic also said that they will submit the results of the DNA tests conducted by the police at the Aegis Juris Fraternity Library where the initiation rites of Acho were held. Lawyer Paterno S. Maquel, the counsel of respondent and Aegis Juris Fratman John Paul Solano, filed with the panel a motion to strike out the judicial affidavit of Solano dated September 17. S. Maquel explained the judicial affidavit was signed by Senior Inspector Romel Anicete to make it appear that it was subscribed before the police official when, in fact, the police official was not present that day. As Maquel pointed out in his motion that the judicial affidavit is inadmissible as evidence since it was made in violation of Solano's right to be informed of nature and cause of the accusation against him and his right to counsel during his investigation. A 64-year-old retired accountant shot at concert-goers from a room on the 32nd floor of the nearby Mandalay Bay Hotel before killing himself. Police identified Stephen Craig Paddock as the lone shooter who smashed windows in his 32nd floor hotel room shortly after 10 p.m. on Sunday and trained bursts of automatic weapons fire on thousands of people attending a country music concert below on the Strip. The motive of the massacre remains unknown. Authorities are hunting down every single clue or anything else to explain Paddock's actions. President Donald Trump denounced what he called an act of pure evil. Paddock was a former accountant and a licensed private pilot. According to Eric Paddock, his brother was financially well off and had no criminal record. He was also a regular gambler and mostly playing high-stakes video poker. Paddock was seen with a regular companion identified as Marilu Danley, a 62-year-old Filipino-Australian who was out of the country at the time of the shooting. A total of 23 firearms, including automatic weapons, were found in the hotel room. A search of Paddock's house in Mesquite, Nevada, recovered 19 additional firearms, some explosives, and several thousand rounds of ammo. The Philippine government, meanwhile, expressed its deepest sympathies to the United States and to the families of the 50 people who were killed in what is now being considered as the deadliest mass shootings in U.S. history. And now it's time for some good news from Globe. As individuals, businesses, and nations become more dependent on technology to increase overall productivity and extend their reach in delivering services throughout the country and in different parts of the world, they also face the challenge of cyber attacks that not only continue to increase in frequency but are also becoming more sophisticated. This challenge we are currently facing has prompted Globe Business, the enterprise information and communications technology arm of Globe, to take a more proactive stance. That is why Globe Telecom has kickstarted its hashtag MakeITSafePH campaign under its Cyber Pinoy Cyber Wellness program to ensure that all stakeholders such as big corporations, small and medium-scale enterprises, government agencies, colleges and universities, and the general public remain safe from cyber attacks such as viruses, Trojan, and ransomware, which put multi-million peso businesses at risk. For Globe Business, the hashtag MakeITSafePH campaign empowers enterprise clients to safeguard sensitive corporate data and to protect company resources.
how does it help companies with their threats, right? So one of the things that we've been doing is really drive awareness to our corporate clients. A lot of companies here in the Philippines don't even know what their posture is when it comes to cybersecurity. And it's very critical that they know, especially in their respective industries, what the global standards are in terms of cybersecurity. So that's one of the first things that we do, is hopefully help them assess what their baseline cyber posture is, where they are weak at, where are they vulnerable, what is their exposure. Once that is set, then we show them how to protect their network given all these exposure. This involves also a very stringent framework. We call it a cybersecurity framework, wherein it helps corporations identify what the risks are. Then once you identify, to show them how to protect it. Once you protect the network, is now how to detect a threat. Once you detect a threat, now's the time, teach them also how to respond, and hopefully how they recover from a cyber attack. So
on the consumer side, the hashtag MakeITSafePH campaign will be targeted to reach out to young school children and their families, as well as millennials who are most susceptible to the negative aspects of the internet. Globe is also working with schools and teachers on the adoption of the Digital Thumbprint Program, or the DTP, that teaches students online safety and responsibility, as well as make them understand the impact of their online behavior through workshops. The students learn how to discern proper online behavior and be aware of technology's impact on their social activities, and develop skills on how to use technology to help them achieve their hashtag life goals. Binibining Pilipinas winners Elizabeth Clancy, Mariel De Leon, and Nelda Ibe are all ready to represent the country in 3 different beauty pageants slated late October and early November. During a send-off party held by Binibining Pilipinas Charities Incorporated on Tuesday, Clancy, De Leon, and Ibe shared how they prepared for their international competitions and guaranteed their supporters that they are 100% ready for their pageants. Binibining Pilipinas Grand International Elizabeth Clancy will compete on October 25 in Vietnam, Binibining Pilipinas Globe Nelda Ibe on November 3 in Albania, and Binibining Pilipinas International Mariel De Leon on November 14 in Japan. The 3 queens said they were not pressured by the achievements of their forerunners. Binibining Pilipinas International Beth De Leon said she focuses on creating a better version of herself instead of comparing herself to her predecessor Kylie Verzosa, who bagged the Miss International crown in 2016. Clancy, on the other hand, said that this is their own journey and that they have learned and grown so much as individuals, and that is the most important thing. Nelda Ibe, meanwhile, said she had focused on her training for the past few months and that her precursors, Miss Globe 2016 third runner-up Nicole Manalo and Miss Globe 2015 Anne-Lorraine Collis, helped her with her preparations by giving her a lot of advice. The 3 queens vowed to push for their advocacy if they win in their respective competitions. And for this week's Thought to Ponder on: courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen. That is by Winston Churchill. And that's it for this week's edition of the MB Rundown. I am Nicole Cordobes. Have a great weekend.